Well, hello there, troopers, and welcome back to General Economics Bunker. Thank you so much for joining me here on another truly, truly special episode of The High Ground. And joining me, as always, is my amazing cosplayer, co-host, overall Star Wars lover, the Dad Vader. What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
What's going on, everybody? Uh,
So,
yeah, let's get
yeah,
down
we
to it.
got
We
yeah,
got a
absolutely, man.
crazy
We
story.
got quite a bit to talk about. Um, It has been a week, all right, since last time we chatted, um, which was actually not last week. I was thinking about that. So last week, leading up to this amazing past weekend, I was literally just pulling like 14, 15-hour days at work, big deadline, had to get it done. So sometimes you just gotta strap in and you know just
Roll up the sleeves, get it done.
pretty much, right? Just put in the time, honestly, and and that's kind of why we couldn't have a high ground last week. And I wish we would have, because obviously there was a lot to talk about, leading up to the show. But we're here. We're past that. We had quite the weekend. We're gonna talk about it, of course. But I haven't even caught up with you quite yet. So, how are things? How was last weekend for you?
I wasn't too busy. Didn't get out. There was a couple events that did go down. Didn't get to make it out there, but word of mouth, everything went good.
Good.
Uh, Good numbers for both shows. So that's always good to see that our community is supporting each other. So kudos to everybody that did make it out this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you know, our friend here, Mike, that better, is a big part of the community actually. And excuse me, I feel that through the summer, of course, like with many other activities, our let's call them like fandom events,
Mhm.
kicked into high gear. Right here in the city, what was that, last weekend or 2 weekends ago? There was what, like three events at the same time going on
Yep.
at different points in the city, which is something cool about San Antonio that I had not experienced before, to be honest with you. Especially again, everybody here knows that I'm down from a smaller town here in Texas. There was hardly ever, any sort of, get together or event, right, for geek culture, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be Pokemon, anything like that, right? There was very few events. But here, in San Antonio, I kind of feel like we are, just keep growing in number, uh, which is very cool because it also provides the opportunity to support things like charity work, for example. Again, I think everybody here knows that my friend here, Mike, is also part of the Heroes and More cosplay team who does amazing, amazing work with said charity, right? And did I see right? And I think they had an event. What was it, last weekend? Man, I don't even remember. Everything's a blur now. But they were giving out school supplies, right, for back to school.
Yep, Retro City was doing a giveaway where they gave away backpacks and school supplies, among
Awesome.
a ton of other groups that did that as well. They weren't the only ones, but they definitely help out the community. And that's one of our biggest supporters for the Heroes and More. So we team up together for a lot of these. I like to call them mall cons because they're done at the mall. But
Agreed.
but yeah, they did a hell of a job helping out the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember seeing the post for it, and I'm like, dude, that's perfect because obviously it's back to school season.
Yep.
The as parents, right? We spend quite a bit, getting those lists filled up. So it's very very awesome that they're pulling something like that together. Um, and so, excuse me. So yeah, for anybody here, that's thinking of visiting San Antonio, there's around the area of San Antonio, guys, we pretty much every weekend we got something going on. San Antonio is a huge horror city as well. There's a lot of horror, related events.
And we're getting
Whether
close
it be
to the spooky season.
the what, sir?
The spooky season, it's already
Oh,
on us. So
absolutely.
I think starting in September is one of the first big ones,
Yeah.
and it just goes crazy from there.
Yeah. So, that's another thing, right? If horror is your jam, trust me, you're gonna find something to do here in the city for sure for the next couple months. Like I said, the summer has been pretty good about it too. But man, we're gonna have a lot of events. Um, so yeah, any hunting that you've done lately?
Uh, yeah, I've been keeping an eye out for some of the acolyte stuff, which I think we'll talk about here in a
Oh,
few. But I've seen Walmart been dropping multiple WalMarts have been dropping the whole line. The one nearest me dropped a restock and a ton of the twins, which are sitting there, and I believe they will be sitting there for a while.
oh yeah.
But the rest of the line was already wiped out, and I was kind of looking at maybe getting sold. Went back the next day, it was already gone. So
Wow. Okay.
people are out there getting them. So
Yeah.
keep your eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I saw that you also found some good stuff at Ollie's. You know.
Oh man, Ollie's. I checked out both Ollies that are near us. I think that's one off of 9410 or something like that, and then
Right.
I forget what the other one's off of. Um, but yeah, they dropped a ton of Obi-Wan stuff. Reva, was it the fourth, fifth brother?
Yeah.
Um, and then just a ton of other ones that we haven't really seen recently. Maybe we'll do a review on that later. But yeah, Ollie's been dropping some good stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Last time I was there, that's when I saw the shield that I told you about.
That's gone.
Um, yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, I was very surprised because to my sort of knowledge, that had been out for like a week by that point,
Hmm.
and I'm like, dude, that's that's a long time for this to still be around. Um, so I was very surprised. I don't know if somebody found it, in the back or something like that, that they didn't put it out initially. I did see a lot of the fifth brother. You're right.
You start a
One of
small
the
army
things.
with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, let alone Eternals. By the way, speaking of
Oh,
canceled things,
yep.
they got yeah, they got a lot. So for all you customizers out there, right? If you're in need of any Marvel Legends, spare parts, trust me, they got quite a bit that you could use there. Um, but the one thing I do like about Ollie's is that they're in very good shape. That's something that I was
Yeah.
noticing that time.
Have you noticed that they're still in like the shipment box and they just like pop it open and just stick it on the shelf like that? Like not necessarily using the pegs, but like you'll see some in the box that are. I mean, they just literally open that thing up.
Yeah,
So untouched. I pulled I forgot what I pulled out, but the box looked, brand spanking new, like
right.
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's some of that, I guess like overflow of stock, right, for other
Mhm.
stores. And from what we can tell, they don't even make it to the pegs, right? In those other stores, like they're probably just sitting in a warehouse somewhere,
Yep.
and they decide, you know what, we're not gonna need them, sell them off, right? Um, but all of this to say that if there's a little bit of an older figure, check out your Ollies, if you're looking for it, because there's a good chance you're gonna find it fairly cheap, right? I mean, Black Series are what, like $10, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
9.99. So yeah,
yeah,
right on the $10
$9.99
mark.
at Ollie's. Marvel Legends, I saw some for like $8 even.
Yep.
Um,
7.99.
yeah,
There's a couple that I grabbed and
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, and they do get some vintage collection, like some of the 3 3/4.
Yep.
Not a whole lot that I've seen lately. But again, the ones that they do get, they're like what, 4.99,
4.99. Yeah.
yeah, somewhere around
4.99.
there. I've seen people finding the vintage collection deluxe, right?
Hmm.
Stormtrooper or Flame Trooper, sorry, with little Grogu, and that's also like 4.99, which is a steal because that thing was like $20,
Yep.
right? For it being a deluxe. But let me jump here into the chat. First of all, thank you so much for joining, guys. We got quite a bit of a story today. All right, so grab a drink, grab a snack, and we're gonna take a trip, into a wondrous, wondrous land. All right, so we got Swiffer Wedget saying, "Yer, what's going on, brother? Thanks so much for being here." Saying, "Hyped to hear your experience from Chicago." Oof, dude, I am hyped to tell it. Let me just tell you that. Hey, we got royalty in the house. We got the Legacy of Nerd saying, "Yo, what's going on, man? Appreciate you." Um, guys, you do not want to miss any time that the Legacy of Nerd goes live. Sunday, while I was flying back from Chicago, dear old Daniel decides to do a live. And what does he surprise giveaway? a signed Jason David Frank trading card. Just because he can flex like that. So what I'm trying to say again is, first of all, go subscribe to the Legacy of Nerd in case you haven't. Hit that notification bell so that you know when he's going live. And like I said, you wanna hang out at his live streams, okay? Because yeah, he is giving away some really really good stuff. Hey, what's going on, Jeff? Saying hello, General. Star Wars Addict 77. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming in. The Real Life Perspective Show saying, what up, fellas? Guess what day it is? Haha, yes, it is.
Okay.
Antonio, what's going on, brother? Saying, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining, man. And we got my cousin here, my new cuz, Pop the Bounty Collector, saying, what up, cuz? I knew it. There you go. So I had the pleasure, nay, the privilege of meeting Ricky in person over this weekend and in Chicago, and we found out that we might have some shared ancestry. So very interesting, very interesting. We share a last name, guys. One of the most common last names in the world, but we share it. So we kept joking throughout the weekend that we're probably cousins, 15 times removed. But Legacy Nerd saying, "LOL, thanks. Hey, thank you for giving something awesome away when I couldn't join your live stream. I'm sorry, dude, but I'm not gonna pay $50 for the in-flight Wi-Fi."
One thing we didn't get to talk about was the Power Rangers weekend that recently happened here in San Antonio. Like we've touched bases on, but we didn't get to talk much on there.
You know what? That is actually a very, very good point. Why don't we do that real quick here? Because I know we're all excited,
Yeah,
for Fan
we'll
Expo,
put 1,000 mile just above
right?
angle to recap. Just throw it down.
Exactly. So, um, yes, very, very awesome. I think it was very successful event here in the city. More phenomenal. Um, Great event, great guest, great panel, super, super intimate. It was very, very cool. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can just pull up their Instagram here. They should have posted. And if not, guys, check out Legacy of Nerd. He basically did pretty much all of the panels out there, except for a few. But I went out there on Saturday. It was Saturday and Sunday, and man, they had a ton of people, which I'm very glad, to see, because I think they had a very, very impressive lineup,
For sure.
including these two right here. Come on, original, two Rangers from Japan, right? And it was, thank you to Toko Spirits for putting this together, first of all, but it was the first time um, that the gentleman who played I guess the OG, right, the real OG, Green Ranger was in the United States, if you can believe that. And they came to good old San Antonio, right, for
First, first
yeah,
time ever dropping it
exactly,
into
first
San
time
Antonio.
ever. Super awesome. His line was always busy, at least the time that I was there. So it was very, very cool to see that. We did have. Oh, I saw this guy walking around with that blaster. The combine from Mighty Morphin.
Hmm.
Super, super cool, man. Um, plenty of awesome cosplays. Plenty of awesome guests, of course. They had a lot. They had a lot of guests, um, and they had a lot of panels as well. And we had our very own Steve Cardenas, who was the second Red Ranger, who replaced Jason. He was actually telling us the story during his panel of how his very first karate school was in the mall, was in what used to be Crossroads Mall, right? Now, Wonderland, right? And so he was telling us the story of how he actually went in and just kind of begged, the teacher to teach him because he didn't have any money. He's like, I'll clean the place, I'll sweep the floors, whatever I need to do to join. And that the teacher said, you know what are your grades? Bring me your grades. If you had good grades, I will teach you, right? But if your grades drop, you're out. And so it's kind of crazy to hear, how he literally had his start, right, in martial arts right there where the event was being held many years back, of course. But I thought, it was a great, great story. Like I said, they had a metric ton of guests, a lot of people, a lot of cool merch, and we had Brad, who was part of VR Troopers, but not a lot of people know that he was actually supposed to be the White Ranger before they decided to go back to Jason David Frank. So he was telling us, that story during his panel. Very, very cool. Again, I think it was a great, great event. I hope they keep growing. They have been growing quite a bit, right? They've done this event. I think, what is this? This fourth or fifth time? I'm sorry if I get that wrong, but it's definitely not their first. But I feel that this one kind of put them on the map. A lot of people traveled from Austin, from Dallas, just to be here to meet some of the guests, to be at some of the panels, and I think it was very, very good. So I hope that that keeps going. I mean, check it out. So this is Steve, who I was talking about. Um, like I said, they had plenty of guests. This one right here was pretty interesting because she's the one that plays Trini's daughter in the special that came out last year. And again, our brother Daniel was actually the sponsor to who made it happen, for her to be here in the city. Super, super great actress, and humble, and she was cool, and she was cool talking to everybody. So I think she was having fun because it's kind of one of her first con, while being attached to the legacy of the original Yellow Ranger, right? So I thought it was very cool. Again, you guys definitely need to be subscribed to the Legacy of Nerd. He's been dropping those interviews. He's been dropping some of those panels that he hosted. So make sure that you check it out. So congrats pretty much to everybody involved on More Phenomenal Expo this year. I think it was an amazing event for Power Rangers fans. Obviously, it was kind of crazy. But I'll be honest with you, even for me, which I'm a casual fan, I thought it was pretty cool. What I really digged was that the majority of the vendors took their Power Ranger specific, like merchandise, right?
Yep.
And so that kind of helped to feel very like a theme, like very cohesive is what I'm trying to say. Normally, these mall cons, right? They'll have vendors, obviously, and it'll be a mix, right, of stuff. Some will have some clothing, some will have like snacks, even some will have toys, obviously, some like more high end collectibles, right? It's just kind of a whatever that store has. But on this one, like I said, I kind of felt that everybody's like, hey, we kind of have to bring, uh, related items.
Yep.
And it was very cool, right, to see if they were selling T-shirts. Well, a lot of them were, Power Ranger designs. 3D printing stuff. They had, again, related to Power Rangers. Collectibles, same thing, right? So I thought that was actually pretty cool. Like I said, it made it feel like a very legit event where everything was kind of coordinated, right, properly. Did you get to go after all? I forgot to ask you.
I didn't make it out. Had some work going on,
Yeah,
so couldn't make it
yeah, I
out
remember
for
you were busy that weekend. Like I said, I went out there. I was out there maybe like 4 or 5 hours. Mostly, honestly, just running back up for Daniel because he was basically running
that.
the show, man. And so he was running around. I was there to help him film some of his panels. So if they look awesome, that was me. If they look crappy, that's not me.
Another guy.
Exactly, some other guy who we will not name. The Legacy Nerd saying, I met people from Detroit, Mexico, Florida. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I believe it, man. Because like I said, the lineup was stacked. There are obviously other maybe bigger, we can say, events, but I gotta be honest with you, for a free event with free parking, right? And the prices for these autographs, dude, like again, I'm more of a casual fan, right?
Yep.
But even me, I was like, dude, I gotta get some of these. Like they're 30, $40. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome that we're able to do something like that. And I hope, like you said,
absolutely.
I hope it just keeps on getting bigger and better.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully next time I'll make it out there.
Yeah, yeah,
Bye,
absolutely.
Daniel.
Yeah, next time I think we I don't know, man. I it's one of those things that I'm like, how are you gonna top off, this one? How are you gonna top this year's? I'm sure they will find a way. Their team is great. Also, shout out to Tommy from our group from the Countdown City Geeks. He did an amazing job also hosting some of the panels, and he was having the time of his life out there. He was just talking to everybody, dude, out there, the whole roster. So it was very, very cool. All right, let me just catch up here with the chat, and we'll move on into some of the news. Where am I? So Ricky Pop Bunny Hill said, I had the same privilege, dude. It was a pleasure. We got our brother Tony from Star Wars City saying miss you because yeah, we were just hanging out pretty much all weekend. Um, we were running around, we were trying not to buy stuff together. Checking out some of the events, standing in lines together, even though Tony's is too good for me, so he has VIP, right? So he always left me in another line, the slower line, but that's fine. That's all right. I'm not bitter about it. Um, and cried together because of the experiences that we had. And yeah, I don't know. Ricky says, I don't miss Tony, but miss you. Hey, appreciate it, man. That's awesome. Yeah. So in case you guys don't know, these dudes, Pab the Bounty Collector and Tony from Star Wars Sith, they've been friends for like, dude, like a couple of decades, I think, at this point. So it's hilarious to see them like interact in real life. It's kind of bonkers. Martha, what's going on? Thank you so much for coming into the stream. We got Frankie Ranging Mando saying, hey, all Jeffs, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining. Legacy Nerd saying he met a bunch of people during the event. Raging Mando says, my daughter is only missing the Yellow Ranger signature. She got Jason David Franks about a month before he passed. Oh, that is
Oh,
crazy, dude.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, she never did many events, or there were never many events, right, that would include Power Rangers back then. So she definitely didn't do many signings, right? Because she passed away back in 2000, I think 2001, maybe. Daniel can correct me, but it was a long time ago. Before they sort of had that surge again, right, when they were getting invited to cons and stuff like that. And in one of the panels, a couple of them, I think it was Nakia, who was saying they kind of freaked out the first time they got invited to a convention. She's like, I didn't know what it was. I'm like, why are we there? Um, you know, who even cares, right? That we're there. She's like, but once we were there at our table, we had people coming up to us. We had people wanting to take pictures. We had people dressed up as us, as our characters. She's like, I was blown away at how much fandom, we still had and still have now, right? She was saying this was back in like 2010, I think. And so, yeah, she's like, I enjoyed every time that we come out here, and just the fans just keep it going, right? Tony laughing out, but it's true. It's true. All right, so let's cover some of the stuff here that we've had. Fair bit of news. So first and foremost, let's just get it out of the way.
No way.
All right. Yeah, I know.
What?
Mind blown, right?
Dang.
Who would have thought? Nobody saw it coming. Nobody wished for it. Nobody, was even talking about it. And out of the blue, out of nowhere, we get the news that the Acolyte will not be coming back for season 2.
It could be a PR stunt, though. I'm thinking that they're teasing us with this.
And it's funny you say that, but more on that in a little bit. So, at face value, what did you think?
Um, I wasn't shocked. Honestly, I was waiting for this to, either make back end news or something where it's like, we're gonna go a different direction. But I mean, I kind of figured. I mean, I think there was still enough to tell maybe a second season or start transitioning away from the twins and start, hey, this is what really stuck on the show. Let's dive more onto that and keep up with the stranger and see how they progress as Sith. Um, but yeah, it to me it was expected. I think it was coming.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I I thought they might like double down, right? And be like, no, we are for sure doing a season 2. We're not changing, directors or anything like that. Like, I was like, they might just say like, nope, we are we're staying the course, right? This is what we want to do, and this is, you will love it eventually. Um, I am I wouldn't say I was shocked. I was a little bit surprised, if I'm being honest, because the D23 just happened, right? What was it, like 2 weeks ago? Again, days are
Yeah.
blurry now, guys, but let's say 3 weeks ago, right? It hasn't been a month since D23 was out,
Nope.
and they had Manny Jacinto, there signing autographs, talking on stage.
And I heard he
So
was well received. Like,
yeah,
the fans loved it. So I, I
exactly.
I would say the only surprise that I had is that they were saying that it wasn't like a mini series, that was the like the season finale. So we're expecting another one, not like the complete end of the story. Uh, but again, I took that with a grain of salt. Like I was still expecting it to not make it to the floor for season two.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because you're right. They made the distinction there of saying season one finale,
Finale,
right? Like
correct.
season one. Whereas before, like you mentioned, they were talking about a mini series, right? So sort of like let's call it a self-contained, right, show. And and you're right. That was around the first time when they said this is season one, right? Again, making that distinction, obviously pointing to there will be a season two, right? And so getting into it here, I agree with a lot. Like you said, did I love it? Not really. There were parts of it that I loved, right? There were bits and pieces that I loved. There were others that were definitely a choice that I, didn't particularly one understand or two even agree with, right? But that can be said about many other, shows and stuff like that, right? If you're gonna start nitpicking, there's something to find at any show that you probably didn't like that much. I was intrigued, to see where it was gonna go forward. I said it before, when we covered the season finale. Um, my worry was like, okay, what do you do now? Because you can no longer tell a fully original story, right? You brought in Yoda, you brought in Plagueis. Now you're tied to an even heavier like set of expectations for those characters because we know those characters, right?
Yep.
So I was actually kind of curious, like you said, okay, are they abandoning like the twin thing and be like, you know what, that's not the most important thing anymore? Are they gonna go, bigger, right? It's like, okay, now we're starting to see at a galactic, scale what's going on with good and evil, all of that. Or again, like what I was thinking is like they're gonna be like, nope, that was just to tease you. We're gonna double down and keep going with Soul, with the twins, like just stay on the narrow path. And so um would I have liked a season two? Probably. I mean, there's enough there to spike my interest. We were finally outside of the Skywalker, era, in live action for the first time. So that was very cool. I said it before the show, even started. That was the thing that excited me the most. Saul, my heads off to him. I think he, you know, carried the Jedi for sure. Manny did a great job, in my opinion. Right?
I mean, his back
His
is
dialogue,
hurting. Like he
yeah,
carried the
exactly.
show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. His dialogue delivery, I think, was probably the best of the show. Choreography, I think we can all agree that was fun to watch, right? Regardless of how you felt of the overall sort of arc. Um, Me particularly, I love that fight. That fight was very very fun.
Yep.
And so again, there were rescuable and elements that I would have liked to seen further develop. But now to what you were saying. So one of the things that I've seen the chatter. First of all, guys, seriously, we Star Wars fans are. Uh, they announced that they canceled it, right? And immediately people take to Twitter, X, sorry, Elon, to Instagram, threads, all of that stuff saying, oh my lord, why would they do that? How can they cancel something so good? We had something very original and y'all just trashed it. I'm like, who is this? What is this community all of a sudden?
Yep.
So again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I didn't hate it because it's still, part of Star Wars. So I choose to try to find something to like rather than just say, "Hey, I hate the whole thing." Um, but man, that was not the case with the fandom, and I think we all know that, right? So to see such a adverse reaction to the cancellation news, it was kind of okay. You gotta pick a lane here, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you kind of have to stay within your lane. If you've been crying wolf, for what is it, 6 months or however long the show was out, not even, um, and all of a sudden, you're like, oh my god, like Disney's making the worst mistake like ever by canceling it. Come on. So there's some of that, and we could go on and on about that, but I'll cap it off here, just saying that, yeah, I was not a fan of what this show did to the fandom in general, right? I don't care
Yeah,
if you liked
definitely.
it or not. I didn't like the reaction, in general, right? Like at each other's throats, very disrespectful. I mean, you got some interesting and colorful messages,
Yeah,
on
for sure.
Instagram. I got quite a few on YouTube as well. Uh, so that I didn't like. Whatever, this show was affecting the fandom. Um, but to your point about maybe or perhaps a mislead on here, one of the things that I keep seeing is that, um, the announcement or the verbiage comes from Disney, that they said that Disney is not moving forward with season two. However, Lucasfilm specifically, they have not. So it's either Lucasfilm was fully on with a season two, right? And maybe that's why they brought out, Manny at the D23 event to sort of garner, like momentum.
Hmm.
And then maybe it was Disney, right? Once they actually saw the numbers for the viewership, they're like, you know what? This show is like the most expensive we've done, right? And it's the least well received. So those two don't mix well, obviously.
Yeah.
So again, it kind of does seem that it was the mouse, the one who pulled the plug. Um,
You don't
we'll
mess with the
see.
mouth.
Yeah, exactly. You don't mess with his money, man. You definitely don't mess with his money, especially when they had finally made a profit. Remember, we covered that news
Yep.
a little while back. The finally Disney Plus had made a profit after what, 5 years, I think. Um, so yeah, interesting timing for that. We'll see. So people are saying, "Oh, we'll never know what happened to the stranger." All of that. That's not the case. I don't think. I don't think we will. I don't think they'll just erase those characters. Is what I'm trying to say. We might get a one shot movie to wrap it all up. We might get an animated, miniseries to again to wrap it all up. We might get on a series of novels. We might get a few comic books. I don't expect them to just be gone, forever from Star Wars. Um, Live action TV show kind of seems like it's not gonna happen, right? But again, there's other avenues that we can still get this story sort of wrapped up, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they actually, kind of pull that off, right? What do you think you would like to see out of those? Like, what medium you think would be best?
I mean, honestly, like if we could just get ourselves a quick movie that ties it all up, I'd be okay with that. I think nowadays these series don't do very well. So like animated would just be running into the same issue. People don't like some of the animated stuff, so it's gonna be really hard to get that to be successful. A Star Wars movie in general, even if it's not the greatest Star Wars movie, it's still a Star Wars movie. It's gonna generate some revenue, I would assume. And maybe not put the title Acolyte, but make it,
Right.
covered, somehow. Um, Even if it's just like The Stranger, like if
Yeah.
that's the title of the movie and it's just him on a poster, like I'd be down to see what the story is to see how they close it
Oh
up.
yeah.
So yeah, I think a movie would probably be the easiest and probably the most successful way to close out that story.
Yeah, you know what? I agree actually because, well, first of all, I just want to see Star Wars in theaters again. Like, come
Oh
on,
yeah,
we
with
just
the
we
popcorn.
yeah, exactly. We gotta, right. Giant screen, surround sound, all that stuff. I just miss it.
I mean, for us,
Um,
we watched episodes 1 and 2 of the Acolyte, and I think that really helped
Oh
boost
yeah.
the way that show felt. Because I went back and watched it on TV, and you definitely miss some of the subtle things that you don't really pay attention to. But when you're sitting there and screen, it's huge in your face. I mean, it gives you that special feeling. Which I mean, maybe that's why some of the series aren't doing that great.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, and I agree. It definitely changes your experience, to see the background aliens, to see the sets, how they're portrayed on the big screen. It's night and day, like you said. I agree. I'm down for The Stranger, a Star Wars story, movie. To kind of wrap it all up, right? There's definitely a lot of questions. Um, a lot left on the table for the character, for his interactions with Vernestra. All of that stuff can still, like I said, I'm pretty sure it'll still be explored. I do feel bad for the High Republic fans, right? Because
Yeah,
finally they made the jump to live action after years of kind of being just
in the background, like, hey, what about
it,
us?
yeah, exactly, right. And don't get me wrong, I know there's some great stories that are being told, have been told also in printed media, such as book, novels and comic books. But let's be honest, guys, that's still kind of the minority in terms of the reach, within the fandom. Most of us, watch stuff, right? Like
I
we'll
can't
watch the
read. I
animated.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah,
if it's
exactly.
on TV, I need to see it.
Yeah, yeah, same here. Comic books I can do more or less, but I've never been good with keeping up with a series of comic books like month to month and stuff. I'm horrible at it. Um, so again, I think we will see stories about the Stranger. We'll probably see stories about Soul, even if it's like on a prequel type of thing. We'll see stories about Vernestra again because we had before already. Um, I really hope we get Plagueis, and I do mean like in canon, right? Like okay, what's going on with Plagueis? They finally brought him, from the expanded universe into the canon. I want to see more. Obviously, I want to see what the plan was. I want to see what it was before and after. Right. To be honest, I want to see a prequel, and I want to see what's going on afterwards. Right. Like
Yep.
what was his plan? What he was working on at the time. Reggie Mando says, "Don't make me all giddy again." So somebody was happy that the Acolyte is not coming back. Louis is saying hi. What's going on, man? Appreciate you, Joseph. Let's go. What's going on, Joseph? I appreciate you, man. So I got the also the privilege of meeting Joseph out there in person at the Fan Expo. He was having a blast, dude. He was just living his best life out there, hanging out with his fellow actors. So Joseph actually um, is a working actor, and a little bit of a hint, but he acted opposite of let's say somebody that we know from The Mandalorian and who is now our new Reed Richards. So he got to share a pretty cool scene. So congrats on that, Joseph. He's done many other things. So it was awesome to meet you, bro, in person. Thank you for hanging out. And yeah, man, let's we might bump into each other at the next show. We got Josh saying, hello, man. What's going on, man? Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. All right. So I think we've kind of danced enough, around the subject. I did want to cover, obviously, the little bit of the news. And all right, let's just jump right into it. So I had a weekend. I had a weekend, okay, and
You went to the Democratic Party, correct?
I did.
Right?
I was like, you
Yeah.
know
Why
what?
not?
I gotta put all my life savings and go support. Some things are just more important than Star Wars figures.
Definitely. Definitely.
Not um but sort of, within that same vein, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. I got to meet my new best friend right there. So you might recognize that guy from The Flash, the 1992 uh movie show. He played
Yeah.
the jokester, and yeah, he played actually the jokester in the Grant Gustin one as well. Um, but I got to meet Mark Hamill. All right, Luke Skywalker himself.
Oh, I thought it was the Joker, the voice of the
Yeah,
Joker. I'm sorry.
that he is as well. Second only, right? But man, it okay. So I've never met him. All right, maybe I should preface that. Saying I've never met him. Um, by the time I sort of got into the convention, like community type of thing, that I was going to celebrations and stuff. Um, he wasn't doing them that much, right? He was actually in Chicago 2019, my very first celebration, but that's the time he was under disguise, and so didn't get to see him, obviously. And so always wanted to meet him. I don't know. It was one of those weird things, I guess, where, and we talked about this before, where I was kind of just in an island, I wasn't really part of the community when it comes to Star Wars. I wasn't really talking to many other fans. There weren't many fans where I was living, so I was like, it's got to be like this everywhere, right? And so very sort of hard to learn about events. Yes, there was the internet, but I didn't know what it took, to fly out to a city, get into a convention, how early you got to get a hotel, all of that stuff, right? Or that even there were groups to actually help you with that, right? I mean, Facebook has a lot of groups. Obviously
Yep.
now, Instagram has a lot of groups like that, where they kind of tell you, step by step. Is like, hey man, these are the dates. These are the hotels that are near it. Depending on where you're flying from, these are the days you maybe want to target, right, to get a better rate, which is amazing, and I love that part about the community. Um, anyway, roundabout way of saying that I never got to meet Mark. Right, by the time I knew that he was active again and all that, he had kind of actually started winding down his convention appearances. Last year, there was the big, fan expo San Francisco, right, where he kind of made a comeback, right? And I know a few of our community, members here got to see him there, and it was amazing, right? So I was like, it's got to happen. So fast forward to, what is this, like maybe April, maybe May already. Remember, May this year was just nuts. Uh, but I was actually recording with our friend Tony, Star Wars 666, for his podcast, and he basically asked me, "Hey, who's your top, that you want to meet at Celebration in Japan? We're planning to go, right?" And I was like, "Oh, Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is in the bucket list, all right? Like, it's just got to happen." And I had, you know Stan Lee in that bucket list, and that never happened. And I regret it, pretty much once a day at least, because there were a couple opportunities that I could have gone, that I had the means, and I could have made the time. And he wasn't that far away. I think the last one that came close to me was in Dallas, which is not crazy, to drive to or to fly to, right? But again, it was just one of those things that I'm like, I don't know what it takes. I don't know anybody. It would be me by myself. Now I'm like, I don't care, I'll go, right? But again, back then, I just basically talked myself out of it. Obviously, Stanley was an older gentleman, so nature took its course, and we lost him, right? Um, but I regret it because, like I said, there were at least, I can think about maybe two opportunities that I could have gone, like, within reasonable means to get to meet him, right? And I didn't. So I was telling Tony, Mark Hamill is my top for Japan, right? Why? Because in my mind, it's like, who else is gonna bring out Mark if it's not like Lucasfilm, right? Like Disney. I was like, nobody else is gonna be able to get him. And I told him, I was like, I know it's expensive, and it's gonna be Japan, so it's probably gonna be even more expensive because we're at Celebration. I was like, but I don't care. I gotta make it happen as soon as possible because, again, Mark is not a younging, right? Fast forward like 3 weeks, I think, from that recording, and who do they announce for Chicago? Mark Hamill, right? So of course I jumped at the opportunity. Gotta make it happen. I was like, you know what? I'm I'd rather jump on it now than something happen in the next, 8 months or so for Japan. One, maybe I don't get to go, right? No, there's no guarantees. And two, maybe Mark is not able to go, or the force forbid, maybe Mark is no longer with us, right? Um, so anyway, I was like, you know what, jump on it. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm so glad I did. All right, I'm super happy that I did. Um, let me just get this out of the way because this is the most, you know, recurring question that I got and comments that I've gotten. Yes, guys, he is expensive. All right. This picture that you see here cost me almost $500. All right. Now, people are like, well, who does he think he is? That is ridiculous. You know, that's like extortion, all of that. That's fine. That is your opinion by all means, right? A price is set and it's up to you to decide if that is worth it for you or not, right? I think, you know, this past 10 minutes that I've been talking about him, I think you know that it was worth it to me,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Um, and I'm not saying go ahead and spend that kind of money. I'm not saying don't. I'm just letting you guys know. To me, it was worth it. I do acknowledge that it is a lot of money. It is the most expensive picture I've paid for by far, almost by twice, okay, by a factor of two. And that should tell you something. Because I think the most expensive one previous to this was Ewan McGregor, right? Um, so I just wanted to clear the air, get it out of the way, because again, you know, I keep getting hit by that. Um, again, you know, if I'm being honest, it's my money first of all, right? I know where I came up with the money, you know, or when I come up with the money. And you know, if you think that's outrageous or it's just ridiculous, you're not wrong. You know, you're not wrong. It's not a necessity. I don't need this to live, right? I do need it to be a little bit happy though.
Well, think about it this way: there's tons of fans out there of everything, right? So
Oh yeah.
everybody's got their own little thing. So sports fans, you want to go to the Super Bowl? How much you drop
Oof.
in there? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Even just regular season tickets for certain teams. Now, if it was like the Houston Texans a few years ago, you could have probably got them for free.
Yeah.
But now, good luck doing that. Cowboys have always been extremely expensive. The Spurs are extremely expensive. So in our area, I see packed houses, tons of events, right? So $500 to meet probably the goat of Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that's not a bad price. I mean, you could pay, $10,000 for Super Bowl tickets
Yeah.
and probably not have the world's greatest view. You're
Exactly.
right next to him for 500 bones.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
Yeah. 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 And like I said, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, obviously, you know, by all means. I'm not saying, hey, if you're telling me I'm wrong, you're wrong. No, come on. All I'm telling you is that I had an absolute blast and would do it again in a heartbeat.
How
Okay.
about the most question was how much did you cry before and after
Oh, dude.
doing the
Okay.
picture?
So let's get into that. All right. So story time. But you know what? Before that, let me acknowledge here that we got some more comments here. Joseph saying, "Thank you, brother. It was so nice meeting you. Hopefully, I see you at Spain." Dude, yes. Let me know if you're coming down for that. For real, let me know. Hey, we got Mr. Hollywood in the house, nerd affiliated. Brother Archer saying, "What's up, everyone?" Saying two goats in one picture. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Mark should have asked for your autograph. Yeah, right. Maybe next time. Tony say, tell those people don't buy it and shut up. Exactly, right? That's what it boils down to. Worth every penny, dude. And let me tell you guys, you think I spend money? Star Wars Sith was, yeah. I
His
have a,
wallet was crying.
oh my lord, you know, he spent the GDP of a small country, you know, during this convention. Let's just put it that way. My head's off to you, brother, because dang. Hey, what's going on? We got our Countdown City Geeks brothers here in the house. Appreciate you joining the stream, guys. Saying hashtag worth it. Oh my lord, totally. Joseph saying, this was honestly an experience I'm surprised money could even buy. Okay, you bring up an excellent point. An excellent point, Joseph, because we just talked about, right? Mark is not doing much stuff, right? In general. And through the con, I got to meet some people, right? That they were also attending the con, obviously, but some of them had a little bit more of an in, right, into the inner workings of the con, and everybody said the same thing, that anytime they asked Mark, right, he's like, I'm done with conventions, right? Not the Democratic convention, we know that he's having a ball out there. Not the point of this stream, but he's kind of done with Star Wars conventions, or let's say with Comic Con type conventions, right? He said that this was probably his last one, and that um, a couple of times, or two different people told me the same thing. That he said Japan, he's like, I won't be there. Again, this could all be, change if Disney backs up the money truck, right? And they're like, hey, here's a couple mil that you can share with your Democratic buddies, um, just to be out there for 5 minutes, right? Many things can change, but all I'm saying is that the general consensus was that Mark is probably not going to show up, if at all, then not many times more, right? Because, and let me tell you guys, I was also in the panel, right, that he did on Friday night, and he looked tired. All right, he looked very, very tired. It was the first day of the convention, but man, he looked like exhausted. Um, Again, he's not a young person anymore, right? So this do take a lot of it. Believe it or not, just to be sitting there greeting people, for a few hours, it's pretty exhausting. Now, one thing that I also want to clear up is that you're paying for a picture, okay? You don't pay for a conversation, unfortunately. All right. So if anybody out there is even thinking about doing something like this, you gotta curb your expectations. You get about 10 seconds with the man, and
That's
maybe I'm
9
being
more than I thought
generous.
you were gonna get.
Yeah,
9 more
exactly.
seconds. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. So it's just, it is quick. So there's a line, obviously, right? So you're in the queue. You turn the corner when you're in the last, like, maybe 5 spots, right, before you actually get to get your picture. So you're already in that little side room with him, right? So you're already there, in his presence. As soon as I turned that corner, where he's actually at, I swear there was like a little mist, on the floor, and like the lights were a little bit dimmer for some reason. Anyway, not the point. There's his daughter, I think, actually like instructing you where to go. There's some spots marked, besides him, where you should stand. And the funny thing is, so it was two guys in front of me. They were all doing individual pictures, right? Because you can have 2 or 4 people in the picture. So they were doing the individual one. And so the second to last guy right in front of me goes, and she's like, okay, please stand on his right side, right? So the farther X. What does he do? He goes to the closest one, on his left. So she's like, all right. So I take the picture, off he goes. Next one, she repeats the same thing. Please step on this on the further X, not this first one. And the guy's like, yeah, for sure. What does he does? Goes to the first X, right? Picture done. She tells me again, he's like, please go to the far one, right? Don't go to this first one, go to the far one. I was like, I got you. However, if you notice, in this little picture, I have, a little cameo that I managed to bring in. So I
Here,
took
Luke.
my very first Star Wars figure. I've told the story many times here, but this Luke Skywalker, I lost it for like 11, 12 years. Um, and then it came back to me, right? So in my mind, I was like, there is no way I don't have this in the picture. All right. So it's this little guy right here, all dirtied and mucked up as he was, again, like 15 years ago by now. Um, and so when you pull up, to the area, right, to take your picture, they prep you, obviously, right? So they're like, hey, you cannot have any props, especially large ones. You cannot have a lightsaber. You cannot have, a, let's say, a blaster or something like that. Like, you can't have any of that stuff. And then they change it. They're like, okay, you can have small stuff, so like a lightsaber hilt, but it's gotta be like attached to you, or you hold it. He will not hold anything. He's like, even if you give him a lightsaber, like, he's not gonna take it, right? And I was like, dang it, all right. So I was like, okay. I was like, what about a 3 3/4 action figure, right? And they're like, you can hold it. He will not hold it, right? Don't give it to him. I was like, you know what? Okay. Ideally, of course, I would have loved for him to be holding, my Luke.
Just bless
Um,
with it.
yeah, exactly. But how do you call it? But yeah, alas, rules are rules, I guess. And so going back to where I was, right, like positioning myself next to him, I've been practicing for like half an hour, right? How am I gonna pose? What I'm gonna do? Um, and so my backup plan was, so I took this guy from here, right? I took him on the trip, and I was like, my backup plan is if they say you cannot bring anything into the picture, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this in my pocket of my in my jeans pocket, like my front pocket, and just have him like stick out,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Exactly, so that he's got to be in the picture. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, or if I'm gonna get kicked out. But I
you
was
made
like,
a
he's
little necklace out of them.
yeah, exactly. I literally thought about like attaching it somehow to me. I was like at a pin. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but he's got to be in the picture, right? Um, because again, I don't know that I'll get another opportunity like this, right? And so I was like, okay, awesome. So I can just hold this guy, right? So I go up, right? Again through the queue, and she's like, please, go to the far exit. And I was like, okay, yeah, perfect. But in my mind, what I've been practicing for the past, half hour is I'm gonna hold this guy on my left hand. I'm gonna hug, you know, Mark, go in for the kiss. Kidding. Um, but then she flips it on me, right? She's like, you gotta go to the other side. Guys, my brain is off at this point, okay? I'm just basking in his presence. So I'm not, cognizant of anything that's going on. I know she's saying stuff, right? And the only reason why it registers is because I've heard it 3 times by this point, right? Go to the far X. But now I'm realizing that I gotta hug Mark with my left hand, and my brain is like, nope. It's like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm like, and trying to like put this in the other hand, try to hug him, try to talk to him, right? And so as I'm positioning myself for the picture, I have this here, and then this thing just goes like that, right? And I'm like, no. And then so like I do this very quickly. They snap the picture. I was like, oh my lord, like I would have been so pissed if this thing would have, just shown up like that, like on the picture. Oh my lord. Uh it was, it was crazy. All I managed to say was thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything that you've done. And he's like, oh, thank you guys, like this is why we do it. And turn around picture. uh and then he's like, thanks again. And here, no joke, because I don't remember exactly what happened. All right. I, I think I passed out, while walking. I think I said I love him. I think I literally said I love you, and then walked away. I'm like 87% sure that I did, but I don't fully remember. Okay. It was just like adrenaline, like flooded my brain, and I just got disconnected for a little bit. I lost signal. Um so yeah, great experience. He's great, obviously. um Very, very fast again, guys. So anybody even thinking, about doing this at a convention, please keep in mind that it's a super fast process. All right. They got hundreds, if not thousands, of people to go through, and they're a well-oiled machine. All right. Everybody's
Yep.
just, rushing you. It's like, hey, you're gonna stand here, you're gonna look that way, you know watch out for the glasses and the glare, like all of that stuff. Boom, picture, get out, right? They're very nice, they're very polite, but it's very much an assembly line, right? Like, and they got a rate that they gotta hit.
Did you hear
So
any remarks after the "I love you"? Did we get the? Did he steal Hans' line? I know. Did we hear that? Anything like? Oh, look right there. Uh,
exactly, in my mind and in my heart, he did.
yes.
Now if you look at the security footage, probably not, but in my
He
heart,
was pointing to security, like, get that guy quickly.
exactly, yes. Can you make sure, can you somebody flag him? uh and so amazing experience, right? Super glad I got to do it. um but then guess what? I kind of got to do it again the next day. So so
So jealous.
yeah, this one, guys, this one is from everybody, that I heard, anybody that talked to, anybody that was involved in the show. this was like borderline a miracle that it happened. Okay, it's never happened before. And honestly, again, I don't have an in to the convention, right? I don't know anybody that's put together the convention, that negotiates, the deals with them, um, their assistants. I don't have an insight, but I did, like I said, meet a couple of people that have more of an insight, definitely, than I do. There are somewhat involved with the show, and have, um, contacts within, people that take autographs to them, that literally have gone to their houses to get stuff signed, that kind of like business, let's say. And everybody said the same thing: this will probably not happen again. They said that this was an insane amount of effort to put together, right? um, so it was limited to 500. Then they decided to, I don't know what happened, I don't know if there were cancellations or what. They opened a few additional ones, right? I don't know if it's additional to those 500, like on top of those 500. I kind of think so, but even then, it couldn't have been more than, I don't know, like 50, right? Let's say maybe 100. So let's round up, right? Exaggerating, 600. That's still a very low number, all right, for the amount of people
Oh
that would
yeah,
like to
for
have this
sure.
picture, dude. So
Father and
the way,
son. I mean,
yeah, oh, dude, yeah, exactly, that too, for sure. But the way this happened is, so they announced Mark for the show, right? I get the picture day one as soon as they open, line up on the queue, get it. Then they're like, oh, guess what? Hayden is coming to the show. This is like a month later, mind you. And they're like, and we're doing a father and son photo op. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I already spent not a insignificant amount of money on my picture with Mark. So I was like, you know what? Again, same thing, right? I don't know when this will happen again. And even if it does, I can at least say, oh, well, I was at the first one, right? Like,
yep.
ever. And I was like, I've never met Hayden. That's the thing. I've never met Hayden either. And so I was like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I gotta jump on this. Mind you, when they opened the tickets, right, to buy this picture, I'm on vacation. I'm down in Mexico, in Cancun, at the beach, you know. So I'm like, okay, I got spotty Wi-Fi out here. All I got is my cell phone, right? I don't have a computer. I'm like, how is this gonna work, right? I'm freaking out. So shout out to my friend Stella, who actually lives in Chicago. She's one of my oldest friends. Um, I texted her. I was like, hey, I know you're in the office. Please line up for me, like online, right? Like on the online queue. I was like, I'm good for the money. Just get it, right? I will wire you the money immediately. That's not a problem. It's just, I'm not even in the country. Like, I'm gonna be like left, like 1,000 spots back in the queue, and I'm not gonna get it. Sure enough, we both of us lined up, uh, pretty much at the same time, and she got way ahead, like number, right, than I did. So I was like, okay, she actually got it for me. Again, shout out to her, because it's no small amount of money, because she had to pay, like on the spot, obviously, to reserve it. Um, don't worry, guys, I did pay her back. Chill. But uh, yeah, so thank you for that. But it's just one of those things, like I've told you, it's kind of funny how things line up, right? And so I was like, okay, I got this now, right? And this is freaking like epic. But I'm like, I still got that picture with Mark, right? Bought and paid for. So I'm like, okay, what am I doing? I cannot cancel it. All right. Mark was the only one there, like, hey, no, like no refunds, basically, right? I was like, but I can exchange it, right, for credit for another like photo op or autograph or something. But I was like, all right, let's be real here. The money's out, right? Like, it's
It's
not
already
coming
gone.
back to me.
It's already spent.
Exactly. It's already
Yeah.
gone. So the only like question, and honestly, it wasn't even a question, right? It's like, who do I want besides Mark, right? That's gonna be at this show. Like, honestly, nobody, right? I mean, again, that's the whole point why I'm making the trip, is for him. So I was like, you know what? I am doubling down. I'm doubling down on it. I'm getting a picture with him and I'm getting a picture with him and Hayden, right? Which is what I did. And I don't regret it one bit, just to get to spend, a total of like 16 seconds with Mark Hamill, right? Um, Worth it. Again, guys, I would do it again in a heartbeat. Now, this one was a little bit more cumbersome because they're both sitting down and they're directing you to go behind them, right? So you can't even really like shake their hands, right? Because you're not going in front. You're already like behind them. And so they both turn and like greet you, right? But you're like a weird angle, between them. And all I managed to say with them was, "Thank you so much to both of you for coming back to the fans, right? For coming back to us." Mark said, thank you guys, right? And Hayden said, "Oh, it's been really fun." And then turn around, picture, get out, right? So again, all they basically tell you is like, "Oh, thank you so much for coming," right, and stuff, and that's it. Um, Again, very very fast experience, right, guys? You're not paying for a meet and greet at this type of photo ops. But again, super glad I got to do it. Crazy crazy experience. Now going back to your question from like an hour ago, how much did I cry? So believe it or not, uh, I managed to not cry at the picture, so my eyes are okay on both pictures. So I was like, man, I'm spending a ton of money in these pictures. I don't want to ruin it with my ugly ass crying, face. That's not happening. So I'm like freaking out in the line, right? Um, and again, shout out to those guys, because they're very fast, right? They're very efficient at the line. So you're not really in the line for like hours and hours, right? Like it happens at other spots, which I will talk about in a little bit. It's very efficient, it's very fast, right? So um freaking out. Everybody's freaking out, of course, in the line. It's like, oh my god, it's Mark Hamill. We're gonna get to meet him, and who knows when it's gonna happen. Again, that was kind of the sentiment, right? It probably won't happen again. And so I was like, oh, dude, like it hasn't dawned on me what I'm about to do. I'm literally about to check off a list from a bucket list, right? Check off an item from my bucket list, and I'm like, dude, it's Mark Hamill. I've been watching him since I was, like 8, and it's finally here. Like I'm finally making it happen. I'm freaking out because I'm by myself again. Tony and Ricky, they're VIPs. They're rolling high class. They don't mix with the likes of me. So I'm all alone there in the line, right, for the poor people. And I'm like, dude, I what's gonna happen? Like, am I gonna pass out like straight up? Like, and then I was like, am I having an anxiety attack? I was like, I don't think I am. I was like, I think I'm just really excited, you know. Um, but I was like, but I don't know. I'll check my pulse anyway. And so I was like, all right, you know what? Chill, don't freak out, because the picture is gonna come out horrible, right? I was like, and I don't know that they'll do uh
A retake.
like, yeah, like a retake, right? And I was like, I don't want to risk it. It's got to be great the first time. Let's do it. And so, but like I said, dude, as soon as you get there, you finally like in the same area as him, that he's sitting there and you're in the line next to him. Just hearing his like a little bit of a raspy voice, right? Um, just oh my lord, dude. So I started like tearing up, and I was like, nope, nope, nope. I was
Fight
like,
'em.
nope, you can't.
Fight
Yeah,
those
I can't.
tears.
Like I can't. And it was I don't know if you ever saw Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. There's a scene where the dad, he's like a security guard and he's supposed to be all macho,
Oh yeah.
and he's like,
Put
oh
that
my
tear
god, that's
back
making
in.
me cry. Yeah, he's like, but I'm too macho. And he's like, and he like reabsorbs a tear, dude. I swear to you, that's how kind of how it was. I was like, nope, nope, no. Like, don't you dare mess this up for yourself. And so I was like, all right, nope, it's gotta be good. So I get there, I think the picture came out good, if I do say so myself. And again, I had the whole, action figure type of thing, like how am I gonna handle it, all that stuff. So I was like, all right, I got more distracted, if you will, with that, right? I was like, concentrate on that, don't mess up the post, show the figure, all that stuff, right? So I'm just like, Oh, and the thing that messed me up when I got there is like no hugs. They're like, you cannot, you cannot hug them, hug Mark. And I was like, all right, well, what are we talking about? Hug, like full on hug, like two arms around his neck and stuff, or like, hey, like hand on his back, like, can I not like touch him at all? And I was like, dude, I'm touching Luke Skywalker. I was like, I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know, I want to touch him as much as I can. All right, I don't care how good or wrong that sounds, but and he was cool. You can't really see in the picture, but he's actually like holding me up too, in the back. But on this one, if you notice, since they're kind of again, you're kind of behind them, right? So they're like at an awkward sort of position. Um, I still have like my hands, on both their backs. So I was like, again, I'm touching the Skywalkers. Like I
Oh yeah.
I paid too much for this, right? Um, but it was a different sort of like mechanics, right? When they were sitting down. Again, super super happy that I got to do this. This one, believe it or not, I it was kind of more like I was like in shock, maybe, like as I get out, because or as I arrive and as I get out, because I didn't really like tear up. It was like until later, because as soon as I got out, again, Tony and Ricky, they were already out because VIP. And so we talk and we check out our pictures. By the way, shout out to Ricky, Pub the Bounty Collector. I think he wins at this picture. He had an awesome picture with them. He was wearing a Rebel Scum t-shirt with um, Hayden and Mark. But when he was in this picture, it lines up. So actually, Hayden is on the side that Hayden is at,
Oh,
and
nice.
Mark is at the side that Mark is at. So they're both kind of like pointing at each other's like spots on his shirt. Amazing. And it just it was the force. It was meant to be, right? Because who knew which way they were gonna be, right? Yes, you had 50% chance, but still awesome that it just like lined up like that.
I think Rebel Scum was a part of the seating arrangements when he was making that art.
Yeah, yeah, I
Definitely.
think so. But again, shout out to Ricky because he freaking wins on that one. Speaking of, let me jump back here into the chat. Sorry, guys, not ignoring you. It's just I'm reliving it like all in my head. And I really, like I said, I was very excited to share here with you, uh, basically everything that kind of went on. Hey, we got the first sister Jedi Niner in the house saying hi, everyone. What's going on, Janine? We got Chris from the Man Collect saying, "What's up, Bunker Bunch? Appreciate you coming in, man." Chris says, Janine Mega Dan collects. Hey, yo, everyone. What's going on, man? Thank you for joining. Hey, Janine says, Chris, we got Brett in the house. Waves hand, this is the tissue you need to dry your eyes with. Dude, seriously, more than my eyes. LOL, he said back to you. I know, exactly. Laughing Brett. Jose had his hair in buns too, by the way. Oh, absolutely, but it didn't stick. All joking aside, brother, that's a bucket list moment, and I'm glad you got it. Tony too, awesome guys. Yes, thank you so much. Honestly, quite the experience, just crazy. Antonio saying, "So awesome you met him." Yes, dude. I'm very very happy that I got to do this. Joseph saying, "I'm having a poster made of my Mark and Hayden pick, dude. Epic. You should. Let me know how it turns out. How are you gonna lay it out? Side by side or top of each other? Let me know, Joseph. Now I'm curious. Maybe I'll copy you." Tony says, "LMAO, you were VIP on Sunday though. All right. I'll give you a shout out." So Tony was magnanimous enough to be like, "Hey man, I'm flying out Sunday morning. Here you go, peasant. You can use my VIP pass." Which, hey, I'll take it. And I'll tell you a story right now about that.
Beggars can't be choosers.
No, hey, trust me. But it's funny you say that. I'll tell you right now. Ricky saying, "So worth it, bro. Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. I won. Yeah, no, dude, seriously, you win." Um,
Interesting
that
question.
that is the $1 million question. Eben from Spice Runners Lounge, by the way, make sure to check him out every Friday at 8 p.m. Central. You want to know the truth, Eben? You want to know the truth? God damn it, you did. All right, Eben, you smell better. All right, so there you go. Finally got me to admit it live. I hate you. LOL says Frankie's. Sorry, Ricky. And so, Sunday. Um, First of all, I wasn't planning to be there on Sunday. The picture with Mark was on Friday. the picture with both of them was on Saturday, right? So I got tickets to both Friday and Saturday, and then I actually got media pass for the event, which I was
Oh,
very surprised, to be honest with
wow.
you. Yeah, I actually got media pass for
Oh,
the event.
I did see you posted
Yeah,
as
exactly.
media on there, and I was gonna ask you. I thought you were going more casual con
I
goer.
was. I absolutely was. And like I said, shout out by the way to Fan Expo Chicago, because yeah, I was not. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't expecting it. But I did get it. I did get the press pass. So thank you for that. But what I'm trying to say is that that covers you for 3 days, right? It covers you for the whole event. And so my flight was on Sunday night, right? So I was like, well, I mean, I got a ticket, right, already.
Might as well.
Might as well just show up. And Sunday was very chilled for me. I was just there, more for like filming, a couple of things here and there that I didn't the first day. I was like, you know
And
what?
more money.
Yeah, that too. Um, I was like, I'm gonna take it slow, right? I'm just gonna, because it was just me at this point. Tony and Ricky had left. Uh, Most of the people basically that were there that I knew had left at this point. So Sunday was kind of just me by myself. So I was like, all right, I'll check some stuff out. Maybe I'll get another picture or so. But I was like, I don't want to spend more money, And so again, we were hanging out at a very good pizza place, by the way, out there in Chicago on Saturday night. And Tony was like, "Hey, you're poor, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." And he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna use it tomorrow, so why don't you just hold on to it, use it for another day, and just get it back to me whenever we meet at the next con?" Because Tony does, keep his passes. So do I now, but I finally got a spot for him. Um, and so I was like, "Oh, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much." And fast forward to Sunday, right? So I'm at the show and I'm like, all right. So I recorded like a one shot, like 30-minute video of me just walking around the floor, which by the way, guys, all of this will be posted at some point in the future here on the channel. Um,
You're still
it's,
recovering.
yeah, and
You're
it's a lot of
knocked out.
footage that I kind of got to put together. Um, I'm not like Tony that he posted it while he was there, at the show. But so what I'm trying to say is I was like, all right, I'm gonna get my mic out. I'm gonna, put my little gimbal on the phone and stuff like that. And so I'm sitting down like in the floor of like the lobby, and I'm like, getting stuff out of my backpack, and I'm like, how do I do this? How do I hold this and stuff? And then I was like, dude, I have a VIP pass. VIPs have a lounge like just for them. I'm like, dude, that's again, that's just the peasant, mentality that I have. I didn't even remember that, dude. Like I didn't remember that there's a spot specifically for VIPs. And I go in and I'm like, whoa, like is this how the 1% lives? Like for real? Um
What Tony's used to. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say for Tony, it's like whatever, this is lame. Like this is not even a thing. But to me, I was like, whoa, I there were snackies, there was like concierges right there to answer your questions, give you an actual map that told you where things were, and they
show
would
the road.
actually write, yeah, dude, seriously. How do you call it, like an exclusive background for you to take pictures with, tables, obviously, chairs. There was a couple of sofas. I was like, what is going on here? So I was like, all right, this is different for me. And so I was like, all right. So I sat down at a table that I basically had for myself, and I laid out like all my gear, right, and start putting stuff together. And I was like, dang, dude, like this. And I rested. Like I was like, I'm just gonna sit down here for like 5 minutes and enjoy it, So I sat down, I had a drink, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm off, right? Um, but I was laughing to myself, and I was telling Tony, I was like, bro, I'm so like not used to having VIP that it never even crossed my mind to just go in there to like set up, like my shot and stuff. Um, so yeah, it was kind of funny, but I went back to it obviously just because I could, and I'm like, hey, take care of my backpack, and they're like, yes, sir. And I was like, that's right. Um, and I would just go out and go back in. I'm like, all right, give me my backpack now, again, just because I could. And so yes, shout out to Tony again for letting me peek, behind the curtain into what I will never be able to obtain. So thank you for that. Thank you for let me, live the dream, at least for a day. Um, Speaking of saying here, Joseph said, "Do it, bro. Got a 20 by 30 poster coming in next week. I'll send you pics. Yes, send me pics, man. I'm curious now." Antonio saying, "Got double the blessing. That's awesome. Yeah, dude, it's incredible. Again, by far the most I've spent on a single convention, right? But dude, I would do it all over again for sure." LOL, iPad baby. Yeah, I know. So Tony is a speed editor basically, and he'll have stuff out, literally that night. Uh, Ricky says, "LOL, the 1%." Dude, seriously. He says, "VIP is the way to go for old people like me." Dude, I just the fact that there was a spot for you to sit down, like with not being like super crowded, priceless. Um, and so, oh, I forgot to mention this too. Again, I'm not I'm still kind of recovering, but huge shout out to my buddy
Oh,
Trent from Best Pin Guy, which actually, you know what? I will post his links here in a little bit. So Trent was out there, and I will nag here for a little bit. I've been blowing up the show, obviously. I had an amazing experience, except for this. Not because of Cameron, okay? Let me clarify that. He was great. Because of the organization from the event. So Trent had bought a an autograph from Cal Kestis here, right? Cameron Monaghan. And he's like, all right, I think I'm gonna go try to redeem it. But unlike the pictures that you buy, unlike the pictures, the autos did not have a specific time. All it was like a voucher, and all it said was when the artist or when the actor, right, or the talent is at the table. That's it. So I'm like, okay, well, how do you know when though,
when?
right?
Yeah.
When to show up? Like, are you just gonna camp out all day? And so, anyway, fast forward. This is around 4 p.m. already on Saturday, and Trent's like, dude, I've been at this line for like 3 hours. He's gone, or he comes and goes. They kicked off some people. They moved on, to others. It's like I don't know what's going on. But I got a picture with Marissa Tomei, which, by the way, um, and he's like, I'm not missing that for this auto, right? He's like, so I'm gonna go do that. He's like, but then I'm out. He's like, I'm exhausted. uh I kind of just want to go, grab some food and probably just, go to sleep. He's like, I'll give you my autograph with Cameron. And I was like, nah, man, like you paid good money for it. Like, I was like, try to get a refund. He's like, nope. He's like, I'm done, man. He's like, I'm just too tired. I don't like this, autograph system. And so he gifted me the auto, which again, huge shout out to him, and thank you for that. But I was like, okay, so let me try to find out like how to redeem it, right? And anyway, very long story short, they had a system with numbers, right? You get a ticket, and they're like, if your ticket is not within the range here on the board, you cannot line up. Go away because we have too much people. Cameron is here. He got there late, by the way. His flight was late, so that kind of pushed things out. But he's like, he's here. He's gonna stay till he gets done. Uh, but he's got to go take pictures now, and then he'll come back. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I went. I sat down, grabbed a snack, and I was like, all right, well, let me get back into the line. Let's see what's going on. How much the number has progressed. I go back, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing the number thing. And I'm like, dude, I was here like an hour ago,
Yeah.
like, or hour and a half, hour and 15, whatever it was, like a short amount of time ago. And you made it seem like this was it. You kicked me off the line because I didn't have a number within this range. He's like, yeah, no, we're not doing numbers. And I was like, dude, so what? Now I got to go stand in, like, end of the line. He's like, yeah, pretty much. But now,
Mm.
mind you, the line that they had capped is no longer capped. So there's a huge ass like overflow line. And now I'm at the end of it. So I'm like, what? Like, dude, like seriously, you kicked me off the line. I could have been almost done by now,
Yep.
right? And now I gotta go stand all the hell back there. Like, what? How is this working out? And I wasn't the only one. Let me tell you that. Then there were more vocal people than I was, and with due reason, because there was this lady that had been trying since like 11 in the morning. This is like 6 p.m., dude. At this point, I'm like, dude, the show has one more hour like left. Like, you're gonna kick us out? And they're like, no, 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 we're gonna keep going till everybody's done and stuff. So I was like, all right. I was like, I'm glad I had a snack because it looks like I'm gonna have to hunker down and freaking stay here, which is what I did. To be fair to them, they were actually not that bad. They did get us within like an hour. Um, but it was pretty. I don't know, man. I didn't think it was the right way to do it. So got up to Cameron. He's very cool. The guy in front of me asked him, "Is like, hey man, what's up with the Joker? You think you'll do something with it anymore?" He's like, honestly, I'm kind of done with the character. And even the guy in front was like, "Oh, that's not what I wanted to hear."
Well, for a little bit more.
Exactly. So I decided to make it worth it. Obviously, get a picture with him as well.
Yeah, that's kind of tough the way they do that too.
Yeah,
The
man. Like I said,
because I mean that really wears on them. Like they got to have a great system, which I think luckily for us, for the most part, our cons have been really smooth.
yeah,
But yeah, that's unfortunate that you got tied up in that.
yeah, dude. So I got his autograph here to
Nice.
General Kenobi. May the Force be with you, and Cameron. So what they were telling me is that he cannot actually sign as Cal Kestis because there is that sort of, I guess, strike as well going on with the video game side of SAG-AFTRA, and so they're like, yeah, you can't sign as a character. I was like, all right. I was like, at this point, bro, I just wanna get my autograph and go
Yeah.
home. Um,
Need your
so
sleepy.
again, yeah, was shout out to Cameron again. He was a trooper. He was talking to all of the fans. He was being cool and answering some of the questions as he was signing and stuff like that. Everybody was polite, with his staff and stuff. Even though again, it was we stayed about an hour after the show actually closed, and so again, I have no complaints with him. It's just the way they kind of handle the autos. Because as I was leaving, mind you, again, like this is like 8 p.m. already. After my autograph, there was huge lines still for Linda. Oh my God, what's her name? Sarah Connor from Terminator.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm like, dude, what time are these dudes getting done? Um, so yeah, again, huge shout out to Trent for the gift. I appreciate it. Like I said, it was just kind of not cool, right? The way they kind of did it, the way they handled it, I guess, at the con. And here's Trent, just for everybody that knows him. That's Bespin guy on his socials. Awesome guy. Glad that we got to run into each other. Again, appreciate the gift, brother. Thank you. It was very cool. Even if it was like a rocky execution, but again, that's not definitely not your fault.
Yep.
Um, and so I think we're gonna meet up again at ICCC. So, all right. So we are at the 1 hour and 30 mark here, and
Feels like we just started.
dude, right? Seriously, I could keep going. This experience was amazing. I didn't even talk about the con itself, right? Like the stuff that we saw there. Some of the cosplay, some of the 501st was out there. We bumped into a few friends as well. Um, but yeah, guys, like I said, bottom line, I'm very happy that I got to do this. I am grateful to my family first of all because my wife was totally cool with all of this before anybody asked. By the way, not that it's any of your business. Um, all of this, she was cool with me traveling by myself, to try to get this done. Obviously, it was a very specific trip just for this. I didn't even go sightseeing or anything. Like this is literally all I did. Um, Shout out to my friend who I mentioned before in the stream, helping me get these tickets, right? Moving me around, the city, like to and from the con, saved me a ton on Uber too. And so shout out to her. Thank you again for that. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Ricky. Shout out to Joseph. Um, Great seeing you guys. Well, Tony I've met in person before, but Ricky, my cuz, like I said, had not had the pleasure of meeting him, so that was great. Trent, once again, thank you so much for your gift. And then it was a little bit weird for me because I actually got recognized in the lobby when I got there on Friday, which was kind of crazy. So it was by this family here. They're awesome. They are on Instagram, um, and as Rixbo, and they do cosplay, as you can see. And they had the sweetest interaction with Hayden and Mark. They've met Hayden several times, so he actually remembers them,
Nice.
and they actually got an extra picture out of it, which is insane because again, not cheap.
Yeah. Not cheap. Yep.
So shout out to them. Thank you so much. They freaked me out because the dad kept calling me, and he was like, excuse me. And I was in the lobby. I wasn't even inside the con yet, and I forget what I was doing with my backpack, and so my back was turned to him, and he just kept saying, excuse me. I was like, surely it's not me. Like he's not
Yeah.
talking to me, right?
I'm a peasant over here. What?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm nobody. And then he's like, excuse me. He's like, General. And I was like, "Roar?" And so I turn around. He's like, yeah, it is you, man. It's like General Kenobi, right? I was like, yes. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, dude, we follow you. We like your stuff. And he's like, would you take a picture with us? I was like, absolutely. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, that's weird. Uh, Very cool feeling, of course. It's kind of crazy to be so far away from home, and then you meet somebody that actually knows you, right? Joseph, who was here in the chat, same thing. We've never met, but I have seen him in the chat before, and I appreciate you hanging out, through the con, man. Yeah, that was awesome. He had some really cool stories. Like I said, he's an actor. Um, so we can start wrapping up here. Again, I appreciate each and every single one of you that joined for this, what I consider to be a very, very special episode here of the High Ground. Fair warning, I'll probably keep talking about this for quite a while. All right, this is top tier experience for me. Um,
You got a
so
ton of
thank you.
stuff out of it. So yeah, I mean, we
Yeah, man.
barely scraped the top of the cake there, man.
Yeah, like I said, we got quite a bit to talk about and to show you guys. So again, putting together videos for all of this stuff. Keep an eye out. So please make sure that you are subscribed, that you have that notification bell activated, so that you know when we're posting new stuff. So make sure that you are following my co-host here, the Dad Vader, just like it's spelled right there on Instagram. He also has a YouTube. We're posting more stuff as well here together. We actually got a toy hunt that we got to wrap up, to finally post it. I think it's going to be our first sort of like joint effort here. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. Again, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again to everybody that hung out today. A little bit longer stream, but I think it was worth it, right? I think it was fair to go a little bit longer with this because, man, like I said, I could keep going for another hour and a half easy. But I will spare you. And I just want to say again, thank you to everybody in Fan Expo for giving me the access. Honestly, you guys were great. For the most part, very well organized. Like I said, just the autographs. I wasn't too fan of that strategy. I know that technically is not Fan Expo per se. That's what are the names, like Epic? I think the company. It was just kind of a bit weird. Like, why would you structure the picture so well, but not the autos? So,
Yep.
like I said, maybe something there went on that I don't know about, but just the experience was a little bit, I would say, definitely not great. Um, so thanks again, guys. Upcoming conventions for us, or you got something else coming up soon?
Um,
Any
well,
appearances?
one thing that I did learn this was it Friday. Um, Rebel Scum Con Year 2 has dates and
Oh,
a new venue not too far
oh,
from where we're at. It's going to be in Frisco, Texas.
oh no way!
And
I didn't know that.
I don't want to screw up the dates, but it's in August 7th through the 9th or 7th through 10th, somewhere around there. But once I get it confirmed, they haven't officially announced it. It was just in one of their lives that they had basically told everybody in the chat that
Sweet.
the contract has been signed and the official announcement will be coming soon. But y'all hear it first from us because I'm pretty sure we're going year two.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of Rebel Scum Con, some of the friends we made out there, I'm going to be working some stuff with them in the background. We'll talk more about that and get that going for y'all.
Absolutely. So there you go. You have it. A breaking exclusive right here on General Economics Bunker, courtesy of the Dad Vader. Like I said, he's the man with the plan. He's got his ear to the ground. He's got the contacts, out there gathering information. He's got a whole network of bottons, just gathering stuff. So yeah, dude, for sure. Rebels Comic Con year two, it's gonna happen. So there it is. Start planning, start tuning in to their lives, and check out their posts. It seems like they're getting ready to announce pretty soon. So book your hotels. Let us know. Let us know here. If you guys are planning to go, let's meet up. Let's hang out. That was definitely the best part, right? Just hanging out with friends. Who are also creators, and it's one of those things, right? That you talk to people for almost years, and then you finally get to meet them like in person. It's
Yep.
it's kind of a particular feeling, right? Like I know you, and yet we've never met like in person. So very, very cool.
Oh crap! Real quick.
Yeah.
So Gabe posted a TikTok where it's showing off his collection. And my daughter, not knowing who he is, sends me the TikTok like, "Dad, you need to get this type of setup here."
Yeah,
And I was like, I actually met him and talked to him, drank a beer with him, and hung out with
exactly.
celebrities at Rebel Scum Con.
There you go. And here's a picture to prove it.
Yep.
So
I got
boom.
proof.
Exactly. It wasn't all a dream, though it kind of felt like it.
Definitely.
Awesome, awesome. So there you go, guys. So start planning for August next year. Let's all meet up down here in Texas. Also, guys, do not forget, check out Space Con here in San Antonio,
Coming up quick.
October. Yeah, October 25th, 26th, and 27th, guys. You want to jump on those photo ops. They just released Sabine with Ezra and Hera,
Hera. Yep.
right? So Rebels, photo op. I think it's live already. I want to say so. Check out their website at SpaceCon here, and plenty of others, plenty of guests. It's actually honestly shaping up to be quite the event. A lot of people actually out there in Fan Expo Chicago were talking to me about SpaceCon. Like they knew about it. People from Tampa, people from Florida, from Orlando, like other parts. Sorry, Oregon is what I meant to say. We're trying, to get more information on it because again, the roster is kind of nuts. So
It's
make
that.
sure you check it out. Jump on those photo ops if you want them, autograph, same thing. Let us know. We're local. We're gonna be out there. We hopefully we're still working on it. Hopefully we'll be at least a little bit involved, in the show. But again, working on that. More on that later. But then we got ICCC at the beginning of October.
Yep.
Great show. Also, very much looking forward to it. Then after that, for us here in town, we got Big Tech's Comic Con, which is shaping up to be a great show as well. Not as Star Wars heavy, let me just put it that way, right? Uh, Amazing if you're a Cobra Kai fan because they're
Still some
going
big names coming.
all out. Yes, yes, they are. So
Tomorrow's announcement, which I think I already broke the code to it. So if you're on my Instagram, I just think I spilled the beans for y'all.
oh, you know
Uh,
what? I think I saw that on your story,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I saw that. So go check out again.
They replied back on their post with a smiley face when I broke it down in the comment.
Nice.
I'm the only one that has a comment with a smiley face. So I think I broke
Perfect.
the code there.
There you go. So check out again. Make sure that you're following the Dad Vader for all this insight, all this code breaking. You want to stay in the know. That's the man right there. So yeah, big show, Big Tech's Comic Con here in October. I'm blanking out on the dates. Basically the previous weekend from SpaceCon.
Yep.
So I think it is on the 18th
Yep.
through the 20th, I believe, of October. SpaceCon at the end of October, which will be
Your
25th to
October is just
27th.
planned.
Dude, ICCC is at the beginning of October on the 3rd through the 6th.
You
So,
better start chugging energy drinks like right now.
oh, dude, I'm already like exhausted, but it was great. And that's because we had more phenomenal, right? The
Right
the
before.
weekend, and then the next weekend, I flew out to Chicago, so I need to sleep for like 3 days straight. Won't happen, but hey, like I said, I'm still, I still feel that rush. I still feel like that
Cloud
adrenaline just
nine.
just talking about it, man, it was insane. So thank you so much for everybody here hanging out. I know I've said bye like 20 times now, but it's just, I keep reliving the stuff and I keep remembering stuff that I want to share with you. So I keep going back to it. Um, Thanks again. Check out the Dad Bader on Instagram, on YouTube. We will be putting out more stuff. We'll be putting out a lot of coverage for Fan Expo. Stay in the know for our local, events. The Dad Vader again is participating in a lot of those. So if you're here, if you're local, or if you're in town and pop out into one of these events, you might not recognize him. All right, but if you see a freaking like 10-foot tall Megatron, that might be him. All right. All right, guys. So thank you again for joining us. Make sure that you are following us all over social media, General Economics Bunker on TikTok, Instagram, um, Threads. I keep forgetting Threads for some reason. And make sure that you are subscribed to the channel for more to come. Thanks again. Appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of the week. Have a great night. Go dream of Mark. I will. And may the force be with you. We'll see you later.